Hello, and welcome to Be Still and Know. Today is going to be the first video of a new series about Ancient Astronaut Theory. And what is the theory? So today's video is actually going to be on the origins of the theory and what really is the theory, and the main proponents of the theory and the architects or authors who kind of push this theory into the main sphere of consciousness, especially here in the United States. So let's go over the theory first, and let's look at the definition of what is Ancient Astronaut Theory. Ancient Astronaut Theory, sometimes referred to as Ancient Alien Theory, is the idea that intelligent, self-aware, extraterrestrial, interdimensional, inner Earth-dwelling, or even time-traveling beings visited Earth and made contact with humans in antiquity and prehistoric times. Proponents suggest that this contact influenced the development of modern cultures, technologies, architecture, religions, and even human biology. A common position is that deities from most, if not all, religions are extraterrestrial in origin, and that advanced technologies brought to Earth by ancient astronauts were interpreted as evidence of divine status by early humans. Okay, so the first two people we're going to look at for the origins of the theory are Carl Sagan and Joseph Shklovsky. An Intelligent Life in the Universe, in a book written in 1966, astrophysicists Joseph Shklovsky and Carl Sagan devote a chapter to the argument that scientists and historians should seriously consider the possibility that extraterrestrial contact occurred during recorded history. However, Shklovsky and Sagan stress that these ideas were speculative and unproven. So Carl Sagan, I love Carl Sagan because he was one of our brilliant astrophysicists and scientists from our past, especially in the United States. He's somebody that I really think is a good American hero and somebody to admire in terms of someone that pushed science forward and especially into the public sphere. I do have a little bit of a beef with him. I think he knew more about extraterrestrials than he said. He, of course, was famous for SETI, which was the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, looking for signals coming from the cosmos, and I think that he knew more than he said. But, of course, when he did speculate that there could have been ancient contact in the past, he did always say that this is just speculation. So I don't think he did enough to push the envelope, but, of course, he was a famous scientist. He had a lot to lose. There's probably a lot of reasons why he didn't really push the idea that maybe we've already had contact in the past. But he did all his life still think that maybe we could contact them from signals in space. So he's still a great guy. I think he's still a great scientist to look at and to read his works. So that was him and Shklovsky. They thought of that in Intelligent Life in the Universe. The next person that really pushed the envelope, though, was somebody that was very controversial and did do a lot and put a lot on the line to put his ideas forward, and that was Erich von Däniken. In Chariots of the Gods, Unsolved Mysteries of the Past, written in 1968, Erich von Däniken posits that many ancient texts may actually be describing crafts capable of flight and transporting beings that ancient peoples perceived as divine. He included a question mark in the original title to portray his confusion that divine beings or gods should not need chariots to convey them to the heavens or any other destination. Also, according to von Däniken, certain historical artifacts and structures require a more sophisticated technological ability in their construction than that which was available to ancient cultures who constructed them. Von Däniken maintains that these artifacts were constructed either directly by extraterrestrial visitors or by humans who learned the necessary knowledge from said visitors. These include Stonehenge, Pumapunku, the Moai of Easter Island, the Great Pyramid of Giza, and the ancient Baghdad electric batteries. So those are his books are some of the ideas that were pushed forward right after Carl Sagan. So he is, of course, considered one of the founding fathers of this theory. And I do have a copy of that book. I still have only read a couple pages of it, but I still have it in my pile of books. I have a pile of books that I have to read still, so I'm still going to read that one. But I do know a lot about his work just through researching this topic. Okay, the next person that was a very big influence in this theory was Zechariah Sitchin. In The 12th Planet, written in 1976, and subsequent sequels known collectively as the Earth Chronicles, author Zechariah Sitchin proposed an explanation for human origins involving ancient astronauts. Sitchin attributed the creation of the ancient Sumerian culture to the Anunnaki, which he stated was a race of extraterrestrials from a planet beyond Neptune called Nibiru. He asserted that Sumerian mythology suggests that this hypothetical planet of Nibiru is in an elongated 3,600-year-long elliptical orbit around the sun. According to Sitchin, Nibiru, called the 12th planet because Sitchin claimed the Sumerian gods, given conception of the solar system, counted all 8 planets, plus Pluto, the sun, and the moon, was the home of a technologically advanced human-like extraterrestrial race called the Anunnaki in Sumerian myth, who Sitchin states are called the Nephilim in Genesis of the Bible. He wrote that they evolved after Nibiru entered the solar system, and they first arrived on Earth probably 450,000 years ago, looking for minerals, especially gold, which they found and mined in Africa. Sitchin states that these gods were the rank-and-file workers of the colonial expedition to Earth from planet Nibiru. According to Sitchin, Enki, the Sumerian god of water and human culture, suggested that to relieve the Anunnaki, who had mutinied over their dissatisfaction with their working conditions, that primitive workers, or Homo sapiens, be created by genetic engineering as slaves to replace them in the gold mines by crossing extraterrestrial genes with those of Homo erectus. According to Sitchin, ancient inscriptions report that the human civilization in Sumer, Mesopotamia, was set up under the guidance of these gods, and human kingship was inaugurated to provide intermediaries between mankind and the Anunnaki, creating the divine right of kings doctrine. Sitchin believed that fallout from nuclear weapons used during a war between factions of the extraterrestrials is the evil wind described in the Lament of Ur that destroyed Ur around 2000 BC. Sitchin states the exact year is 2024 BC. Sitchin says that his research coincides with many biblical texts, and that biblical texts come originally from Sumerian writings. It is known that a lot of the biblical texts did get written while the Hebrews were not even in their homeland. They were in Babylon when a lot of these texts were written. So a lot of these ideas could have come from older texts that could be influenced from Sumeria. So Sitchin, of course, is another founding father of this theory. He really pushed the idea forward that not only did ancient aliens visit Earth in the past, but that they were responsible for the creation of human beings and the current Homo sapiens sapien genetics that we have today. So he's another one that you should read his books, The 12th Planet and all the sequels. And then the next guy that we're going to talk about is Robert K.G. Temple. He wrote The Sirius Mystery. In The Sirius Mystery, 1976, Robert K.G. Temple proposes that the Dogon people of Mali in West Africa preserve advanced astrophysical information which predates modern times, and that the Dogon tradition describes contact with intelligent extraterrestrial beings from the Sirius star system. These beings, who are hypothesized to have taught the arts of civilization to humans, are claimed in the book to have originated the systems of the pharaohs of Egypt, the mythology of Greek civilization, and the Epic of Gilgamesh. So another guy that's saying that our ancient cultures did not originate or grow or evolve on Earth, that they were transplanted here from other places. And he claims that it's the Sirius star system. So it's another guy, you should probably read his books. The next guy that we're going to talk about, founding father of Ancient Astronaut Theory, is John Anthony West, with his famous book Serpent in the Sky. In Serpent in the Sky, The High Wisdom of Ancient Egypt, 1979, American author, lecturer, and guide John Anthony West proposes the Great Sphinx of Giza water erosion hypothesis, dating the Sphinx back at least 36,000 years instead of 5,000 years, which is still claimed to be true by mainstream archaeologists. West proposes that erosion marks from rain found on the Sphinx proves that the Sphinx is older than previously believed, due to the fact that steady rain has not been seen in this area since before the last ice age. Mainstream archaeologists ignore erosion evidence for the sake of not having to reconsider the established paradigm that human civilization only dates back about 7,000 years. So he's saying that all this erosion and weathering has been found in the Sphinx that archaeologists are ignoring, and that the Sphinx, because of all this erosion, had to have been either underwater or under heavy rain for a long period of time. And the only time that would have been in the Giza plateau was during the last ice age or before. And so he's saying the Sphinx is actually maybe more than 10,000 years old, which is way older than they're saying human civilization has been advanced, and that we have had methods to even build something like that. So he's another guy you should read up on. I actually read this book, Serpent in the Sky. Very, very interesting book. Okay. David Hatcher Childress. You might recognize him from the show Ancient Aliens. He's always on there. David Hatcher Childress is an American author whose work covers topics such as Atlantis and Lemuria, pole shifts, the Hollow Earth, pre-Columbian transoceanic contact, suppressed technology, Nikola Tesla, free energy, UFOs, and ancient astronauts, anti-gravity, Vimana aircraft, and secret societies, including the Knights Templar. More recently, he has written on time travel and cryptozoology phenomena such as the Yeti and Sasquatch. He is regularly featured on Ancient Aliens. So some of his books are Lost Cities of Ancient Lemuria and the Pacific, written in 1988, and Vimana, Aircraft of Ancient India and Atlantis. So he really goes deep into the fact that there was this lost technology in the past, including the Vimana, which were ancient aircraft that existed or were written about in Sanskrit texts from India. And so he's saying that these Vimana were actually UFOs that visited Earth, or that were people or some kind of civilization had these aircraft as part of their technology and their arsenal, and that nuclear weapons also existed, and that's why a lot of these technologies aren't around anymore, is because these civilizations destroyed themselves. So another author you should check out if you're interested in this theory. And then one of my favorite authors, I think he might be my favorite author of all time, is Graham Hancock. And he's actually somebody that I really admire because I got into this theory through reading books of his. His books kind of sparked my interest at a bookstore. I was walking through one day and I saw one. I think it was Fingerprints of the Gods, and I just grabbed it and bought it, and ever since then I've been addicted, and I've been buying his books off Amazon, and I think I've read most of them. I think there's only like 3 that I haven't read, but I put most of them on here so you can see them. So Graham Hancock is a British writer and journalist. He is known for his works on ancient civilizations, earth changes, stone monuments or megaliths, altered states of consciousness, the paranormal, ancient myths, and astronomical or astrological data from the past. Hancock's works propose a connection with a mother culture from which he believes other ancient civilizations sprang, which explains why the oldest cultures on record seem more architecturally, technologically, and culturally advanced compared to contemporary cultures that followed. So he's somebody that believes in the big part of the pyramid, and then it kind of goes down. So you start at the pyramid. The pyramid was really strong with civilization, and then all of a sudden our civilization starts to decline and get worse and worse and worse and less advanced. So he also points out how newly discovered ancient sites keep pushing the archaeological record backwards to show that there was civilization further back in time than mainstream archaeologists will admit. So his books, Fingerprints of the Gods, Magicians of the Gods, go over some of these ideas that these structures that he's visited himself. His wife is a photographer and she takes pictures of them. So that's why he has such great pictures in all his books. These structures are so advanced, and the older they are, the more advanced they are, but the younger they are, the more recent they are, the less advanced and less architecturally, I would say, advanced. Yeah, more architecturally advanced is the older ones. So the younger they are, they get worse and worse. You'll see smaller building blocks, less refined techniques, and you'll see evidence of more primitive tools being used. The earlier we get, the further back we go, there's sometimes buildings that are built without explanation, and we're going to go over a lot of those in my further videos in the series. Okay, so the next guy we're going to go over is Robert Baval. Robert Baval is a Belgian author and lecturer, perhaps best known for the Orion constellation or correlation theory regarding the Giza pyramid complex. In the Orion Mystery, 1994, Baval posits that there is a correlation between the location of the 3 largest pyramids of the Giza pyramid complex and Orion's belt of the constellation Orion, and that this correlation was intended as such by the original builders of the Giza pyramid complex. The stars of Orion were associated with Osiris, the god of rebirth and afterlife, by the ancient Egyptians. So that in his book, The Orion Mystery, he goes over how all these pyramids are aligned specifically. If you look at the angles and the different alignments, they're actually, all these pyramids around the world are aligned to Orion. And why Orion? It seems like that's something that has baffled even people today. You know, why are these ancient societies so obsessed with Orion and Sirius, these constellations, and the constellation Leo for the pyramid, for the Sphinx? So Baval kind of goes into that, and he starts to really question, why are these pyramids aligned like this? And so you'll see in this image, China, the Cheyenne pyramids, Mexico, Teotihuacan pyramids, Egypt, the Great Pyramids, they're all lined up to Orion. So it's kind of strange that these ancient civilizations were so obsessed with the stars. Okay, and the last guy that we're going to talk about in this video is Giorgio Asuculos. Giorgio Asuculos is a Swiss writer, ufologist, television presenter, and producer. He is known for his appearance on the television series Ancient Aliens on the History Channel. He is co-author of the book Twilight of the Gods, written in 2010 with Eric von Däniken and Nicholas Quaintmere, about Pumapunku, an ancient ruined city in the Bolivian Andes Mountains that simply could never have been constructed by its Stone Age inhabitants. So this is the aliens guy. Aliens! You know, there's a question about anything, it's gotta be aliens. That's this guy. He's the guy from the meme. And yeah, he wrote this book with Eric von Däniken, and he's also somebody that's really famous for really questioning, you know, how were these buildings built? And he goes around the world in the series in Ancient Aliens and really investigates these things. And of course he's kind of goofy, so people kind of don't take him seriously, but he is a really smart guy, and he really does, you know, travel and do research and question these things. So he's another guy you should probably look into as well if you're really into this topic, as well as watching the series Ancient Aliens on History Channel, because they have a lot of good ideas, and a lot of these ancient sites that I talk about in my videos, I've seen on that show, because they have the same ideas. How were these structures built? You know, who built them? Why were they built? And most importantly, are the people that helped us build it coming back one day? And so that's another show that you should probably get into if you're interested in this topic. Okay, so that's it. Just wanted to go over the origins of the Ancient Astronaut Theory, what it is, the basics of it, who are the authors that kind of started this in the 20th century and got us thinking about these topics in a different way. Of course, science doesn't want to acknowledge any of it. They want to say that this is all just pseudoscience and pseudo-archaeology, and these ideas are out there, and they're conspiracy theories, and that aliens were never here, and there's no evidence, and that all the people that question these things are a bunch of quacks, and that the Gaia Network and all these other companies that are starting to produce media about this are just sensationalizing and trying to get viewers, and just they're like yellow journalism. They don't really have any validity. But look at the facts yourself. In my future videos, I'll go over some of these ancient archaeological sites where you'll see that there's a lot of things that don't make a lot of sense. How did these primitive man, build these ancient structures? Why are there these legends of ancient technology in the past? Why are there remnants of some of these ancient technologies from the past that science doesn't want to admit or talk about, or that are hush-hush or shut up? And why are a lot of these governments quick to dismiss these things? And why a lot of the times when something comes out in the press, it's quickly dismissed as a hoax or something? So if you're interested in this topic, please subscribe. Help me out if you want to see more of these kind of videos. I would really appreciate if you supported me. Again, I'm just a regular guy making videos in my spare time, and I would love to be able to do it more often with more precision and better editing and lighting and things like that, but that takes time and that takes money. So please subscribe, please support if you'd like to, and again, no matter what comes your way, It's going to be a great day. Thank you.